Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Second Take. It is Thursday. We had to move it. It's summertime, so expect some changes here and there, but the excitement does not change even though the times and the days do. I'm Armand, you know that. Jill, what's the good word?
I'm hanging out down here. It's pretty hot today. We had 97 degrees already, and the day has kind of just begun. So I'm dying a little bit, but otherwise I'm good.
It's good, good. I'm glad to hear it. So let's jump right in. Some very unfortunate news yesterday. We lost a great woman in the United States, Maya Angelou. Rest in peace. You did a lot of great things for African Americans and just the country in general. Poet, author, strong national figure. So you'll definitely be missed, but your memory will live on forever. Moving on, Landon Donovan, who we didn't get to last week, he was left off of the U.S. national team, and it's a shock to us all. I'm not a huge soccer fan. I don't know all that much about soccer, but he's a name that I've heard all throughout my life, so I know he's talented, and the fact that he got left off is pretty shocking, but the U.S. national team still looks pretty good, so we'll see. Go USA. I'm hoping that we do well in the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Landon Donovan, he's a name that everybody knows, but he has gotten older. And he's just not doing for the U.S. like he used to. And a lot of people who don't know about soccer, all they know about is Landon Donovan. So losing him, it's really not going to be a big deal. I think the U.S. I think we could actually do pretty well. I don't really know, honestly, because a lot of these other teams are just on fire. I know we have this big rivalry with Mexico, and that's always a fun thing to watch. So it could be fun. I don't think we're going to be winning the World Cup anytime soon, but maybe we'll make a little dent.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping for the best for the U.S. In terms of the MLB, All-Star voting has begun, and one of my favorite players, Mike Trout, in my opinion, the best player in the MLB, he is leading All-Star voting. Not very shocked. All-Star game still a little while away. It's in July for All-Star break, but I'm looking forward to it. Home Run Derby is always really fun to watch. Looking forward to see Derek Jeter get voted in for his last season, obviously. So we'll see. Can't wait for that. Also, the Los Angeles Dodgers accomplished something very impressive. They had a streak of 17 consecutive hitless innings, which tied the longest streak in majors in the last 50 years. So congrats to them. I know they're currently not at the top of their division, but they have a lot of good pieces. Yasiel Puig, one of Jill's favorites. So I definitely expect them to do
Yeah.
here. Moving on to the NFL, Jim Harbaugh released some comments today saying he expects Colin Kaepernick to have a breakout season. We know the 49ers have added a lot of good receivers, so he's feeling pretty positive about the 49ers. They're always a contender. You definitely have to look out for them in the NFC. But with them making good moves, you also have to look at the Seahawks, who have made some great moves. They signed Doug Baldwin to a 2-year deal, and they're moving Earl Thomas to punt return. So as if you already don't have enough to worry about with the Seahawks with their defense and their offense, now you got to worry about speedster Earl Thomas running back punts. And the NFC is just – I'm sure they're angry about all these moves that the Seahawks have been making lately. So NFC's definitely got to look out.
It's a great move by the Seahawks. You know I love Earl Thomas. That's a fellow Longhorn. He's awesome, and I think it's a good move. He's fast. I mean, that's no question, and he's big enough to where if he gets popped, he's not about to go flying. He knows how to hold on to the ball. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. The Seahawks are coming back guns blazing this year, and they could easily repeat. Easily. Like, no question they're going to be in the playoffs. No question they're going to get pretty far. It's just as far as who they're going to play. But they've made some great off-season moves, and I'm extremely impressed.
Definitely, and then if you want to look at teams making great moves, the Jets, they signed Michael Vick and Chris Johnson in the offseason, but Chris Johnson's currently trying to court Andre Johnson to come to the Jets, and if that move were to happen, I mean, the Jets would just be making crazy improvements because they haven't really had great receivers. They haven't had a great team in terms of any position. But if they were to add Andre Johnson on top of Chris Johnson, Michael Vick, they still have Geno Smith backing up. Jets might make some noise. I don't know. We'll see, though. Some news with Donald Sterling. I know you have very strong opinions about that, so go right ahead, Joe.
Kind of came out today that Donald Sterling is the most hated man in the U.S. by a 92 percentile. And that kind of speaks for itself. We have heard this through everybody that they hate him. And also another thing is we're kind of getting some mixed signals. I think last week I said that his wife is looking to sell the team, but then he wrote a 32-page letter, I believe, saying he is not going to sell the team and he is going to fight them and make them let him keep it. So there's two different things going around. I don't know what's going on. They're voting on this. I think next week they're voting on whether to force him out or not. There's been a bid for $1 billion on the team already, and I told you all before the team is valued at $575 million, and it's going to sell for double that. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're still dealing with Donald Sterling, but it seems like it's still the beginning because once the ruling comes, and if they decide to force him out, it's going to be, I can't even find a word to describe because he's going to sue everybody and everybody. Just anything that's in the way is getting sued. And I wish they would let it go, but no one's listening to me, and that's okay, but no one's listening to me. I understand he's hated, but just let the man do what he wants to do. He's not getting in anybody's way right now.
Yeah, there are just so many different directions this can go. With the bidding at $1 billion, I don't know too many people who can afford that. He's talking about now he wants to keep it. Last week, as Joe said, he wanted to put it in his wife's hands to sell, so either the team, either he can keep the team or he's forced to sell it, but no one can buy it, then his wife owns it. I don't know what's really going on there, but there's just a lot of different things that can happen, and as Joe said, it just seems like it's going all over again. Like we're just right back at the beginning. So I don't know when it'll end. It might be months before this is out of the news, but we'll see. The NBA made an interesting announcement this week that they will be moving games overseas next year. The Houston Rockets and the Minnesota Timberwolves will play in Mexico on November 12th, and the Milwaukee Bucks and the New York Knicks will be playing in London on January 15th. Shout out to the NBA overseas fans. I'm sure they're going to love that. And the NBA stretches across a lot of different countries, so we definitely have to cater to their international fans. I don't know why I said our. I'm not in the NBA. I wish, but anyways. Steph Curry today made an interesting statement stating that the Mark Jackson firing was a shock. Jill and I discussed this a couple weeks ago. Obviously, it's a shock. Mark Jackson had 3 seasons there. He made them relevant. He made them almost an elite team in the West, so it's definitely a shock. I completely agree with Steph Curry. I don't think it'll really affect how he plays. I'm sure he'll still play to the best of his ability. I'm sure he likes playing under Mark Jackson, but dealing with a new coach, it takes some time to build the chemistry and feel comfortable, so we'll see how the Warriors do.
I've said this about the Mark Jackson thing, and it's the only thing we can say is a stupid move. It was the stupidest move. And if your star is upset, you don't upset your star. Steph Curry is upset, and he's shocked, like we all were. None of us saw that coming. So Steph Curry was kind of stating the obvious, but it's clear there's some miscommunication in that franchise. Something's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely don't want to upset your star. We've talked about that with many people, AP in the NFL. They're just you want to keep your franchise player happy because if they're not happy, they're going to want to leave. Like Carmelo left the Nuggets and LeBron left the Cleveland Cavaliers when they weren't winning. So if the Warriors want to hold on to Steph Curry, well, Steve Kerr better come with a gift basket or something. I don't know, but the Warriors will still play at a pretty high level. So it's just all about getting the chemistry back and getting comfortable. And, of course, the NBA playoffs. We watched a crazy Game 5 last night. There was just so many different storylines, so much going on. In the beginning, we heard that Ray Allen and Chris Anderson were questionable. Ray Allen saw some time, Chris Anderson didn't, but Rashard Lewis came out, shot 6 for 9, 18 points. No one expected him to go off the way he did, but he shot very well for them. LeBron James was in foul trouble very early only played a total of 23 minutes. He shot 2 for 10. I believe he only had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. It was not a LeBron-like game. Dwayne Wade played very well. Chris Bosh played well. But ultimately, the Pacers came out with a win. Paul George scored, I believe, 31 points in the second half, 21 in the fourth quarter. He was absolutely lights out. He made 8 straight points for them that gave them the lead and kind of sealed the win for them. That's what I've been waiting to see from Paul George all series. It was looking like Lance Stevenson was their star, but Paul George showed that he's still relevant. Roy Hibbert disappointed me. He missed his first 4 shots, but with Roy, you don't know what you're going to get. So at this point, the Pacers just need to put the team in the hands of Paul George and Lance Stevenson.
And Paul George has said, no, I want this. It is so clear that Paul George wants this. It is so clear that Lance Stevenson wants this. I have no idea what Roy Hibbert wants. I don't even think he knows what he wants. Regardless, the Pacers made it happen, and that's great. Something I didn't like was at the end, they do that little foul game. What is Paul George doing missing his free throws? What is David West doing missing his free throws? I will never understand how a professional basketball player misses a free throw. A free throw is the same every time you do it. You're at the same part. You're shooting the same distance. I don't understand what it is that psychs these guys out. That's a problem for sure. LeBron James, yes, foul trouble, but he only had 7 points. I was extremely upset that all the commentators could do was talk about how great LeBron is, how all this stuff, how ESPN was making excuses for him, saying the only reason he only had 7 points was because he had all this foul trouble. Yes, I understand being in foul trouble can affect your game, but maybe he's not like that to get in foul trouble like that anyway. So he was off to begin with. Do not make excuses for this guy, okay? He had a bad night. You're allowed to say it, ESPN. I promise. It'll be okay if you say it. He's not going to hate you. Just be honest. Dwayne Wade, on fire. I love Dwayne Wade. I think he played great. He carried the team. They would have been down like 30 points if it wasn't for Dwayne Wade because no one else was doing much. Chris Bosh, he blew a 3-pointer, but worked well in our favor because none of us want to see the Heat win. I mean, great game by the Pacers. I think next they go to Miami. I'm not sure, but it's scary because they are hanging on by a thread. I would love to see this go to 7 games, but it's honestly about how the Pacers decide to play. Roy Hibbert feels like playing or not. Paul George wants to come out and show out. Lance Stevenson and LeBron relationship might be the funniest thing in the world. There was some drama about them doing trash talking last night. Actually, Lance Stevenson used an interesting tactic to distract LeBron. He blew in his ear, and we haven't really seen that before, but I liked the tactic. I liked the way Lance was thinking. I think he was being very clever. Sometimes distracting someone by just blowing in their ear might work. You never know. So maybe they're going to use that tactic, and maybe everyone's going to use that tactic on the Pacers. Maybe that's how they'll win in Miami. I wouldn't count on it. But I honestly can't decide who's going to win this series. I want it to be the Pacers, but I don't know if I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah, last night I tweeted, too, that I kind of figured out what the Pacers' problem was. They played, in my opinion, this whole season only focused on Miami. They weren't focused on doing well or getting to the championship. They wanted redemption against Miami. They played so well this entire season, making so much noise. Everyone just like, the Pacers are real. They're going so far. And they finally get what they wanted, a chance to redeem themselves against Miami, and they play the way that they do. Inconsistent. They don't look hungry. In the first quarter, they didn't look like they ever played basketball before. But then Paul George stepped it up. He said Frank Vogel gave me the green light, and I took it and I ran with it. And he definitely did run with it. 37 points, incredible. In the first half, I didn't see Paul George. I didn't know he existed. And then second half, he was like, this game is mine. And I definitely respect that. In terms of the free throws, I understand what you're saying in that it's the same shot over and over. It's very easy. But with the added pressure, and also David West didn't want to make the shot, give them a chance to inbound it. He would rather them miss it, them have to grab a rebound, then try to throw it up. There was a second left, so they wouldn't really have gotten a shot anyways. But I do understand what you mean. They're professionals. They made it to the NBA for a reason. Free throws should be the easiest thing that they have to do. In terms of LeBron James, as you said, it's okay to have a bad game. It's okay to say he had a bad game. Kevin Durant has bad games, and everyone gets on him for him having a bad game. But LeBron James made that one block, and everyone's like, oh, LeBron, oh, typical. LeBron does one thing, he gets all the credit for them being as good as they are, despite the fact he had 5 points. He shot 5 points, 7 points, whatever. He shot 2 for 10. He was awful, and he was fouling like it was all he knew how to do. It was ridiculous. In terms of the rest of this series, it's going to be very difficult for the Pacers to win in Miami. I do think that they have a newfound hunger within them. But what they really need is for Roy Hibbert to step it up. Lance Stephenson wasn't as aggressive as he's been the past couple games, so he needs to get back to where he was as well. Paul George, keep doing what you're doing. Maybe do it for the entire game rather than just in the second half. But it worked.
They're inconsistent. Like what we're saying, the moral of the story is the Pacers are inconsistent.
Yep.
And I don't know why. There's a lot of stuff. I told you, they're the most confusing team in the NBA. No one understands what is honestly going on that team. What is going on in their heads? I don't know. I can't tell you if they're gonna win because they're either gonna come out and play street ball or they're gonna come out and play like NBA players, and it depends how they feel that day. So I can tell you, and I can't even tell you in the first quarter because they decide to come back in the second half. I'll tell you in the third quarter who's gonna win, but that's all I can do. These playoffs are stressing me out because nobody's making any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that series looking the way it is, I just can't not talk about the fact that my Oklahoma City Thunder have tied the series at 2-2. I called it that it would be a flashback to 2012 where we won 4 straight, where the Spurs took the first 2 at their place, we took the next 2 at our place, and then we took 2 in San Antonio. It's a different season this season, but OKC's looking great. I love it. Serge Ibaka coming back is just giving everyone a newfound energy, and it's frustrating that it takes Serge Ibaka to do that because he's not the focal point of our team, but he's our defensive anchor. So if
I said that they were going to be able to, because the way that the younger team, they thrive more off of the crowd. That's how younger players are. That's why college players, they do so much better at home than away because they're so used to that crowd. That's how the Thunder are. I said they were going to win at home because it's their home, like point blank. And I told you that they use these guys missing as an excuse. And I'm so glad Serge Ibaka is back because now they don't have an excuse. So if they do lose in San Antonio, I mean, there's no excuse. And Serge Ibaka coming back, it just made the team, it's not about him actually playing that helped them win. It's like the fact that they felt whole again. It was about them feeling like someone on the team was missing, and they just get down about it. That's what happened without Westbrook last year. It's just their mentality. So this is another series I'm confused about. I don't know how it's going to go because when they were in San Antonio, the Spurs weren't looking like themselves. And then in OKC, the Spurs aren't, I mean, like, no one's looking like themselves. I don't understand. They are going back to San Antonio next. So I'm a little worried because I don't know if the Thunder can win there. Again, I just said the home court advantage thing. It's a toss-up. It could really go either way. I think this next game, the next one in San Antonio, is going to decide the series. I think whoever wins that game is winning it all.
That's a fair point. I do agree with you that Oklahoma City didn't look whole, and like Serge Ibaka coming back makes them feel whole. Considering the fact that the next 3 games will go San Antonio, OKC, San Antonio, I can see the series going to 7 games. I hope not. I feel that if OKC has to go to 7 games with San Antonio, then in the finals, whoever they play, it's going to be very difficult to bounce back from that and win. Hopefully OKC can take the next one in San Antonio. Russell Westbrook last game, 40, 10, and 5. He looked great. Kevin Durant looked great. The team just looked great, and that's going to happen at home. Like you said, they thrive off of momentum. They thrive off of the crowd being into it. They're a young team, and that's what they do. I do think that they're capable to win this series, though. I'll always think that they're capable. They're a very talented team.
I mean, they're obviously capable. It's whether or not it's going to happen, because these series just depend on who decides to show out that night. You know, like you said, Westbrook and KD have been on fire recently. Like they have something going on between each other, and they are just killing it. And they can't be stopped. I mean, Westbrook makes some scary faces when he's in the zone, and I think he's scaring all the Spurs players. But I just don't know if the Heat do end up in the finals. I'm not sure that the Spurs can beat them. And I think OKC is the only team that would stand a chance to beat them. If the Pacers are in the finals, it's a different story. But I have said so many times that we are not getting a three-peat this year, and I can't be wrong. So I'm going to need some team to go in and beat them if the Heat are in the finals, because I don't want to look stupid. I told y'all that there would not be a three-peat. And I will go in and sub in for one of these teams to make sure there's not a three-peat.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I don't think that if the Spurs go to the finals against Miami that they'll be able to beat them. It was proven last year. The Spurs look hungry, but they have the exact same team, and Miami's only developed more. LeBron James has developed his game. Dwayne Wade is just he's a playoff player. He looks great. And what Miami always has, they always have these random three-point shooters who do nothing during the season, then they come out of nowhere. And Rashard Lewis, the way he played last game, I can totally see him being what Mike Miller was a couple seasons ago against OKC. So, exactly, I don't think that the Spurs can get it done. A lot of people think the Spurs will beat Miami in 6. I don't think so. The OKC has a much better chance, in my opinion, in that I don't think LeBron James can hold Kevin Durant back that much, and I don't know anyone on the Heat who can guard Russell Westbrook. So, we'll see, though.
Especially if LeBron gets into this foul, if he starts fouling and this becomes a trend for him, that's going to hurt him against OKC. Because especially if Serge Ibaka is in, it's going to be a barrier because you have to block their big three and you're going to have to block OKC's big three, and that's a lot harder. I don't know about the Spurs. The Spurs kind of confuse me. I don't even know anymore about any of these playoffs. I've said it a million times. I'm just confused. We got to focus on this round before I can. All I'm hoping is the Pacers win, so I don't even have to worry about this. But I mean, honestly, the weight of the world is on the Pacers right now. Maybe that's why they're playing badly. Because I understand. Because I put all my faith in them. But I'm having fun with these playoffs. I'm thinking both of them will go to at least 6 games easily. So, I'm having fun, but I'm just a little stressed out because these are some pretty stressful games.
No, absolutely. It's been a great NBA playoffs for a sports fan. The first round, all those Game 7s. The second round, all the intense matchups. The conference finals. I know the NBA finals are going to be a very, very impressive and exciting series, regardless of who makes it in. Obviously, I want my Thunder in, but as a sports fan, I've loved the NBA playoffs. These have probably been the best playoffs in years, in my opinion. Honestly, I can't think of.
That's what Magic Johnson said. Magic Johnson said that same thing. That's why he hates this Donald Sterling stuff, because it's taking away the attention of the playoffs. He said this is some of the best playoffs he's seen in like 30 years or something like that. And it's true. I mean, they're insane. I mean, especially the Western Conference. I've already talked about how I feel about the Eastern Conference, but the Western Conference has made this so much fun. It's stressful playoffs. It didn't work my way for the Rockets, but I'm still having fun with it. You know it. I got other teams to support. I'm loving it.
Yep. Tonight we will see OKC play the San Antonio Spurs. We know Reggie Jackson suffered an injury in Game 4, but he is set to play in Game 5. So the Oklahoma City bench won't be missing anyone. Looking forward to Oklahoma City playing well in San Antonio. It'll be a tough game, but if anyone can come out with a win, I know that they can. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Second Take on Thursday. Next week, I don't know what day we'll be broadcasting, but we will be here. Hopefully no more technical difficulties. And episode 20 is creeping up on us, so we have something very special planned for you guys. So have a great day and enjoy the game tonight.